Welcome to this video. Today I wanted to talk with you about the European Central Bank, which as we see now is always coming closer to a central position in the European decision-making process. It has become a very important institution. Now, as we see in Europe, the reforms are needed. We need more time, but there is not enough time. Italy needs more time, Spain needs more time. The economy of Greece is contracting. Some people may start demonstrating. That will push up interest rates in Italy and Spain again, and perhaps also in other countries. So what happens is that all politicians are looking at the European Central Bank and say, help us out, we don't know what to do. And so what the ECB is becoming the sweeper, like in a football team. It has to kick the ball out of the stadium and get rid of it as soon as possible. What it did at the end of last year was already trying to help the banking sector with an amount of €1 trillion, which is a lot of money. I've never seen it together, probably you haven't either. And now the ECB has decided to buy state bonds without any limits from governments that apply for support from the European Euro Rescue Funds. So that is the condition that the European Central Bank has put forward. Now everybody's a bit happy with it. On the one hand, we see the ECB acting, we see interest rates going down, but Italy and Spain will have to submit a request, an application for support. And so far they haven't done it, of course, and particularly Spain is in play because its banking sector needs support right away. Now, if you look at what a central bank can do and what it cannot do, a central bank basically can print money. It cannot create jobs. A central bank is not a central government. It cannot push through reforms in countries. That is what the politicians have to do. But sometimes they are unwilling to do that because they meet resistance from the population, demonstrations, strikes and so on. And so they hope that the ECB will buy more and more so they have more time. And sometimes the ECB is acting and then the politicians think, oh well, there's nothing we have to do anymore, we're off the hook. And this is a very dangerous reaction. Now, if we look at what is the ECB in fact, European Central Bank, and if you ask me what the ECB is, I always compare it to the Vatican. As you know, in Rome, the Vatican is the center of power of the Catholic Church. And basically the ECB is in the same position in the European Union. It has no parliament, like the Vatican. There are no women in any ruling position whatsoever. The governing board of the ECB, 23 members, there is no female representation, there are only men. There are grey men, there are bald men, there are some men who dye their hair, but there are no women around. The reports of the meetings of the ECB are secret. We do not know what they decide. We know what the Fed, the American Central Bank, decides because they have to publish their report. And so the Bank of Japan. But the ECB takes decisions in secrecy just like the Vatican does. So the president of the ECB just acts like the Pope. And he also speaks like the Pope because it is a coded language. We always have to try to find out what he's trying to say. If Mr. Draghi, the president of the ECB, says, I do whatever it takes to save the euro, we have to look for interpretation. We have to go to commentators, to experts and so on, who know the ideology, the background of the ECB and the vocabulary. So what we see now is an ECB that becomes more and more a Vatican, whereas we are in a highly political situation where the ECB is supposed to save the euro, but in fact it cannot save the euro, and it will also lack the legitimacy because when people get angry, because countries have to save money and cut budgets like in Spain or in Italy, then the governments there will say, yeah, but it's not us doing this, it's because the ECB says we have to do it, they tell us what to do. And then people will turn their rage against the ECB, against this so-called Vatican in Frankfurt, and that is a very dangerous position for the ECB to be in. Thank you very much.